Tonight's episode of Vampire Squid Show is brought to you by Suck and Go, the new dating app where you can get people to suck you from anywhere. We got everyone. We got Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Ecuadorians, Filipinos, Puerto Ricans, African, I don't know, we love them all. You want a quick suck? Get suck and fuck. Keep them coming. And we're on. What's up, guys? Adam, let the laughter out. You know you loved it. What's up? How was your week?
Suck and go.
Suck and go.
Oh shit! Where can I download this at? Where?
Oh, we got on Apple iPhones, iPads, beepers.
I'm sorry.
Samsung.
Wait, let's just get away from that. I mean, you meant we had it on the Apple iStore. We had it on Google Play.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. Oh fuck. Oh, that shit fucked me up. I feel like I forgot my week.
Alright, so let's just do it real quick though. The conversation we had at Chipotle.
Which one? Oh!
Yeah, let's just get right into that,
No,
man.
yeah, man. So anyways, we were at Chipotle and we're talking and I'm just all like, man, you ever wonder if some of these crazy people on the street just acted crazy for so long that they actually became crazy? How do you feel about that? Do you think it's possible to make yourself crazy by acting crazy for so long?
I mean, we're talking about homeless people?
No, people in general.
Well, the conversation came up because I was telling him about one time at work, some guy was trying to shoplift, but the thing is, he always comes in.
Okay.
So what happened was a couple of weeks back, he came in, but tell me how he doesn't just walk into the store. He comes sneaking in wearing a giant long white cloth. Like,
I'm sorry. He comes in wearing a cloak, like a cloak?
Not like a
ghost.
cloak.
He came in dressed like a ghost.
Like a bed sheet, like a white bed sheet.
Like just a bed sheet,
Just
over his head?
Yeah. Like he just walked in thinking like no one's gonna fucking see him. And he comes in and
he's just gonna blend in with the background.
Exactly.
Sneak in.
And then freaking like one of the co-workers like, what the fuck you doing? And he just runs out. He's all like, oh shit.
It's like, oh shit, my disguise didn't work.
Exactly. So I'm just like, what, did he just watch Harry Potter the other day? And I was like, oh, the cloak of invisibility, it might work. And then I'm telling Adam's like, yo, what the fuck's going on? I was like, but that has to, like, based on how many times he comes in and how the cops treat him, he might be, like, a little off. So that's when we started talking about, like, mental illness and stuff like that. Or just people, just acting crazy. And that's when he brought up, like maybe he might be pretending to be crazy because a lot of times cops kind of don't deal with you because they don't want to deal with that shit. But... Okay. What if that leads into, like, him actually becoming crazy?
So, like, if he's pretending to be crazy, so that, like, if he gets busted for something, he can do, like, the insanity plea.
Exactly. Just like, I'm crazy.
To kind of get off light. Yeah.
But that ended up leading to, I was telling him, like, that kind of reminds me of Hamlet. He was like, oh, what about Hamlet? Like, in the simplest way to put it, the story of Hamlet was, like, his father died. The ghost of his father comes to him and says, your uncle killed me. Avenge my death. So he devises a plan where he's going to make a play reenacting how his father died. And then through that, exposing his uncle and killing him. But in addition to that, he's going to slowly pretend like he's going insane. So that way when he does kill him, it's like, oh, well, he was batshit crazy. Like, it wasn't like a legitimate, like, planned, like, murder. Mm-hmm. But throughout the story, he starts actually becoming a little, like, crazy himself. Where, like, the line between insanity and sanity starts to blend.
Yo, I've known about Hamlet for years. I've read it in school. I've seen the movies. Mm-hmm. You talking about Hamlet, it's interesting to me now.
Exactly.
Yo, dude, I felt the same exact way. I'm sitting there eating my fucking
never cared
bowl,
for Hamlet before.
And I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna have to go and find Hamlet. So I asked him, is there like a condensed version of Hamlet that I can check out? Because I don't want to read Hamlet and decipher the language. Because real talk, you have to like translate it from Old English to modern English or modern American English in order to get that message.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, I'm sure there are a bunch out there. And I'm like,
I don't sound like that though.
That's exactly how you sound like.
Bitch.
Keep going.
Anyways, I never got around to it, but I'm going to after this. So, continue, Mitch.
No, like, it was just funny how, because, like, we were talking about that, and I was telling, like, it's funny because Shakespeare's good. It's just, when it's taught in class, you have to do two things. You have to decode the language or decode the dialect, then interpret the plot. It's like, that's two things I can't, like, that's why a lot of people get steered away from it. But if there was like a condensed version or like a version in our, in our dialect, the stories are actually pretty interesting. They really are. But going back into just crazy, crazy people and shit, like, do you think that's possible? To like, just kind of to fool yourself in a way where, or convince yourself.
I mean, obviously it's possible. But we're talking about crazy people in the streets. I don't think that's the case there. Like, they're just crazy. Why would you pretend to be crazy in the street?
I think you would pretend to be crazy so that people would have sympathy for you and give you stuff.
Not if you're crazy. No, man. I mean, if you pretend like, oh, I'm depressed, I'm homeless, I have nothing, I have no one, then people may feel a little sorry for you and, give you some stuff, maybe. Crazy people? No, man. People look the other way and they try to stay away from that.
But you're thinking of crazy in its broadest sense. Like, you have to think about, like, there are different types of crazy. Like, there's outright crazy where you're out there on a rampage, and then there's the crazy that just does weird shit, but is also a little more, like, a little more toward normal. Like those people on the train that come in and they telling you all these stories. Oh my God, I'm hungry and this happened to me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm addicted on drugs. Like they're also crazy or playing crazy. But yet you can empathize a little more with them because they're a little closer to what we are or what we know. You know?
Yes.
It's very difficult because the thing is there's also different stages and categories of, mental disabilities, psychosis, schizophrenia, all that type of shit. Like it's, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about because a lot of times you just see quite a few of them outside. And what I always wonder is, like, I don't know, like, how did they get to that state? Because there's always a process to, getting to there. Like, is there just like this, do they just mentally just give up and just do whatever the hell they want? Because they know in sense, like, there's like no consequence.
I mean, I'm sure it gets to the point where it's like, it can't get worse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm sure there are people who are out in the street and probably do crazy things to try to get locked up. I mean, you're getting a place to sleep, but food every day. Let's
try to define that, like crazy things, like how? Like, are we talking about just like the random guy yelling in the street saying that he could fly, or?
No, but that's not gonna get you locked up. I mean, maybe in a psych ward, but you don't want that shit.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's crazy. It was just very interesting because, like, I see this guy all the time. Mm-hmm. And, like, I see him on the block. And he's there, and he's just be walking around and dance. And it's weird because there's moments where he acts like just completely just fucking Looney Tunes. But when he comes in and he tries to steal stuff, like, it's fucking calculated, man. Even though sometimes he comes in with a fucking bedsheet. But sometimes he comes in, it's fucking, like, he knows what he's doing. And he knows that he's...
I mean, not if he has a mental disorder.
Because the thing is, like, when he comes in, like, the cops tell us, like, oh, we know this guy. He comes in, he takes stuff, and he sells it to the bodegas down the block. So he knows what he's doing. He's making a profit. He's making a living how he feels he should. Mm. So I'm like, well, there is some type of, calculation there. But at the same time, I see you running around the fucking street dancing and singing with no goddamn shirt on with one fucking slipper.
So it almost makes you...
Deadass that happened. That's what I'm saying that.
It makes you wonder whether or not he's actually out of his mind.
Or does it flux, Does it flux in and out? Because that does happen sometimes.
True. I feel like that's one of those things that it'll be hard for us to really touch on because there's just too much going on.
I feel like it's not just too much going on.
Oh, wait, there we go. Finally.
Yes, what?
A hitter.
Oh, yeah, the heat.
Anyways.
But, what it is that, I feel like there's not enough, like time spent. I wouldn't say studying it, because obviously there's people out there who study it, but just a lot of places to bring people like that in. Because I feel like sometimes it's like they're a lost cause. Just let them. Because I know there's correct me if I'm wrong. A couple blocks up, there's like a damn, what was it, like a shelter for mentally disabled people. Like, I'm not sure yet, but I know there was one back when I worked at GameStop. There was a couple blocks up. There was because they would come into the store all the time with like their caretakers and stuff. And a lot of times
there's actually one
next to my building.
There's also one like by where I live on my block.
Yeah, and then
there's one for mentally challenged people. Yeah, if
I'm not mistaken, there might be one towards McDonald's. I don't know. I heard, but I could be wrong. But if you're saying there's two there, because I definitely know that there was one when I worked at the GameStop downtown, because they would come in and shop. And a lot of times what they'll say is like, yeah, they do have, like such and such or whatever, but they're functional enough to go outside. So they kind of just, let them live their lives.
See, but in the case of that guy that goes into your store and steals stuff, I find it hard to give him the label of crazy just because he's rational enough to know that not that he needs, but he does what he does for a reason. There's a purpose behind the theft.
Yeah. He
goes in there, steals stuff to make a certain amount of money. I'm going to assume to live or maybe to get his fix because he's he's probably living off of the government, but he still needs his fix.
Yeah.
Maybe he's on drugs. That's what I'm talking about. And he uses the things that he steals to get those drugs. And though that's a rational decision. And so are you really crazy or are you playing a part? And in that case, I feel like he's most likely playing a part. Exactly. Let me put this sheet on my head. Why? Because if you walk into a motherfucking store with a sheet on your head, most likely people are going to leave you alone. Why? First off, you look crazy as fuck, and people tend to be a little bit standoffish when it comes to crazy people.
Yeah. Mind you, he's not confrontational. There's been a couple times we've been there, and one of the other people, they'll bump into him, and he'll pull up his fist and be like, do something. He's like, no, I don't mean no trouble, and then he leaves. And at the same time, like, I curse him out all the time when I see him. I see him on the street. There's one time I'm walking down where the 1 train is, and like when you're heading on the 1 train, you make the right. There's a right turn. He came from that right turn, and we bumped into each other. He looked at me, put his head down, and stepped aside so I can walk through. And I looked and I said, "Don't do what you're planning on doing today. Don't."
But there you go. They know, like people like that who are like aware of the way things are. They know that people are not gonna really mess with them. See, you and the people you work with are used to him.
Yeah.
So they already know the type of person he is. But like in regular everyday life, people see him walking with a sheet on him, they're gonna like avoid him.
Yeah, because they don't know what he's capable of. So
Exactly.
to be safe, they're gonna stand off.
He could be the next fucking shooter. No one knows. You guys know because you deal with him almost daily.
Yeah.
But anything else on this topic? Because I'm kind of done with this fuck.
I mean, yeah, like it was just an interesting question just to bring up. Like I know right now we can't really get any like solid answers on it because if there was a solid answer, it would have been done right now because people have been studying mental illness ever since mental illness became a natural, like a defined thing. Like we can't get an answer on it, but it's just like a nice little tidbit there just to kind of think about.
Also, it was pretty cool because Mitchell was all like, "Oh, the Lion King is basically Hamlet," and I was like, "What?"
in the most diluted sense. That's what I was saying. Like, because he's like, "What's not like technically it's not exactly the same, but it's still kind of the same thing." Uncle kills the father.
That's it. The only comparison.
No, then the kid then kills the uncle. The only difference is that he doesn't do it for revenge. You have to change it a little bit so that they're not saying... the world would have been yelling about it.
From the way Mitchell was describing it earlier, he creates a play to reveal that his uncle's the murderer and how he did it. He then pretends to be crazy so that he can get away with avenging his father's death. and then actually becomes crazy.
But you couldn't do that in the Lion King.
Nothing like that in the Lion King.
Of course not.
The
They're
only thing in the
lions.
comparison was that his uncle killed his dad.
They're
That's it.
lions. They're not gonna make a play.
To be fair, though, I find it hilarious because technically the Lion King pretty much stole the plot of Kimba the White Lion. You ever heard about that?
No.
There's this old Japanese anime movie called Kimba the White Lion, and verbatim, it's exactly the Lion
Well,
King.
but to be fair, Walt Disney did go around finding stories around the world.
That is true. Yeah.
So, is it really stealing, or did he go around the world, find the story, and then adapt it?
Well, it was mostly like folklores and fairy tales and stuff in the beginning. But it's true. I do get what you're saying, though, that they take their own Disney twist to it. So, I mean, yeah, I agree on that. So, yeah, long story short, fuck that guy. Next topic. Let's do this.
Next topic, man. Should we end with free speech, or should we like go into it now? Because that was one that was pissing me off.
Yeah, let's do that one. So, the other day, yeah, you sent me the video. What was his name again?
Dave Rubin.
Yeah, the Dave Rubin video.
And it's not a new video.
It's
an
not.
old
It's
video.
kind of old.
It's from March or April. I don't know.
It's around there. It's been out for a while. It's nothing new, but it's a very interesting video to watch, and I would recommend you watch it as well. So what happened was, I mean, Adam, you want to take this one?
It's basically, you have people and they want to come in and say hate speech should be illegal, and then you have the other side talking about
Freedom of speech.
the thing is,
Yeah, that's the video
on
right
top
there.
of freedom of speech, you have to identify what hate speech is, right?
Okay.
Hate speech is different to everyone.
It's very subjective.
That's true.
So
That's true.
what you perceive as hate speech
Right,
is
but
not
you
what
and
I
can,
perceive.
But you and I can watch the same speech and feel two completely different ways about it.
Exactly. So it's like there's no such thing as hate speech as far as like the law goes. Now, are there hateful speeches? Yes, there are. I can say, I fucking hate black people. Black people are the scum of the earth, right? That would be a very hateful speech, but it falls in line with my freedom of speech. And I should be allowed to say that.
Just as long as you're not
Hurting anyone.
like publicly advocating physical harm towards anyone. Because trust me, we get people like this all the time. Like they'll walk by and they'll see like us, like, oh, look at these fucking spics or some crap like that.
Yeah.
But if they're actually planning on doing something like, physical harm towards us, then of course take action, or, like it is what it is. Because if I'm allowed to express my dislike towards someone else, they're allowed to say it to me as well, I don't like tall people. I don't like short people. I don't like this. I don't like that. Whatever. Just as long as I'm not planning to freaking, put them in a truck and just whatever or some crap like that. I mean, it is what it is. But it's
with that, like, you can't fuck with the Constitution.
Like a lot of this was just interesting because especially in that video, a lot of it was just like all right, first off, what was he again?
What do you mean?
Like him himself, what does he do?
What does he do?
Yeah.
Well, he says that he is a comedian. He has a podcast where he interviews people or has conversations with people.
American.
He's a gay man.
Yeah, he's a political commentator, basically. / comedian and a talk show host. Ouch. So yeah, so he went on to, this university to talk about how he believes there's there's no such thing as hate speech. Not necessarily hate speech.
Not that there's no such thing as hate speech, but that hate speech is not a recognized thing. Like, you can't be like, oh my god, that's hate speech. Like, you can't go to court and say, well, they used hate speech against me, because hate speech is not a recognized thing. We acknowledge that there's such thing as like hateful speech, but like hate speech is not a thing.
And whether you agree with it or not, the biggest issue about this is that there are people that are trying to govern the speech. So, for example, if I say something that you find as hate speech, I can get fined for it.
Not even just hate speech, though. Anything offensive. Like, let's just say
See, I mean that's where it gets tricky because I mean practically everything's offensive.
And
Exactly.
that's why they're like, no, you can't do this.
Uh-huh.
But like I was saying, like let's just say that you were like a trans or something like that, but I didn't know, right? Because you look the way you look, and I called you he, and you said I identify as she. They would like some people, some extremists would be like, oh, that's hate speech, and I'd be like, it was an accident though. I didn't mean anything by it.
Not even an accident. I didn't know.
Exactly. So
And there's a thing now in Canada.
oh, Bill
Yeah.
C-16.
Yeah, Bill C-16, where if I speak to you,
If you misgender,
if you misgender or I speak to you in a pronoun that you're not identified as, I can get fined for it.
which is not okay, but well, we're not Canadian, so let's not even go into it.
Yeah, but that's an example of something. I mean, it's not here in America. I mean, there's thoughts and discussions of bringing it to America, but
No, but I mean,
yeah.
even then, if your name's Mitch and I call you Mitch, I'm not gonna get fined for it. You know what I mean? If you identify as she and I say he, I shouldn't be fined for that.
And that's the thing.
And it's not like you have a name tag that says, "Hey, I'm a she." How am I supposed to know?
Exactly.
And that's what no, it's not that they fail, they refuse to take that into consideration. You look like a boy, so I'm going to call you a boy. And if you don't identify as such, it's not my fault that you look like it.
And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, correct me. How would you like to be, interpreted as? And then we'll just go from there.
And even if I refused to acknowledge what you're saying,
That's your right.
that's my right, dude. Freedom of fucking speech. Let me speak the way I want to speak. And if you want to call me a motherfucking bitch, call me it. If you want to call me a fascist, you want to call me anything you want to call me, just call me it.
Yeah.
That's your right. That's your freedom. Let me have mine. It's not okay that you can have all of yours, but I have to have some of mine taken away because of the way you feel. What about the way I feel? I feel good expressing myself the way I do. You shouldn't be allowed to come in and make me change the way I express myself. It's just what it is.
To your liking, And I don't know. It's the thing that kind of gets to me though about that whole speech he had was every now and then throughout the speech people would protest and riot, and they'll just chant stuff and try to drown out what he's trying to say, and then he'll say, oh, do you have a question? Do you have anything you would like to say? And they don't say anything. They just keep chanting.
Dude, he says, guys, if you want to talk, we can have a one-on-one after. Don't chant and interrupt everything. I'll talk to you individually if you want, all of you.
And
but they refuse. The girl that he was talking to, the one that was extremely difficult.
Ooh, that one got me mad.
She was extremely annoying. Why? Because at one point, she was oppressed. And at the end of what she was saying, she was no longer oppressed. And then she went on to say that he said she was oppressed. And it's like, hold on, bitch, wait. He never assumed that you were oppressed. You said it. You told him, I'm not going to talk about my oppression.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, well, you assumed I was oppressed. I'm sorry, which one is it?
Because what happened was she kept talking about oppression and how people are and stuff. So he asked, has there because honestly speaking, a lot of times they tend to say, oh, we as a people and we as this and we as that. I was like, all right, so the easiest way to kind of figure it out, it's let's just bring down the scale a bit. Let's just talk.
Black lives matter.
That's what would happen.
Black lives matter.
And they'll just do that over and over while he was talking. So honestly, bring it down a bit. Let's talk about you. Has anything that happened to you personally that you felt was oppressed about, and we can address that and we could talk about that. She said, oh, I don't feel comfortable talking about it. It's too much energy, negative energy and this and that. So then she actually ends up saying, oh, pay me. I'm not going to say it for free.
Hold on. Wait.
What?
Wait.
She said that.
And then he goes, oh, let me see what I got here. She's like, PayPal me. Venmo me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, I got $20 right here. Tell me about your oppression.
And then some ladies and
some lady goes, I'll put 20 more on it. Bitch, you were about to get paid $40 for a minute. a minute of your time and you didn't talk about it. Why? Because you a motherfucking bitch. A bitch-ass white girl who wasn't oppressed. You just acting on behalf of what you think the people who are oppressed feel like. Hold on, wait. Everybody who was chanting Black Lives Matter was white. And so Dave Rubin was like, we got any black people in the crowd that want to tell them to shut up?
And they did. They did. They're like, yo, shut up.
I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but that's just funny. Everyone chanting was white. I didn't expect that.
White.
To be fair,
I didn't expect that.
To be fair, there was a couple of people who actually did make some valid points, and he did his best to address them.
He did,
and that's kind of how it goes. It's an exchange, you know.
Like the thing that came up with how a black and white kid commit the same crime, but the black kid gets a harsher penalty.
Yeah, a longer sentence.
And it's true that does happen.
It
and
does.
he said, "I'm all for reform. I'm all for changing that and trying to like fix those things because it's not fair."
Mm-hmm.
But no one really acknowledged the fact that he is kind of on their side. It's crazy. Like they choose to be ignorant to the fact that he's technically on their side. He's just not a fan of stupidity.
A lot of times what it is
like.
is that they have that ideology of this. It's either you're with us all the way or you're not at all. And that's how they felt. They felt like, all right, I'm with you, but, you know, there's a couple of things that you're kind of a little off. And like, no, then he's not with us, then fuck him. Like, he's not with us. And it's funny because he goes, I'm a gay man. I know about oppression, bro. I married a dude.
Wait. And then she goes, oh, you assumed that I was a liberal. And then, like, I'm thinking about it because I listened to it twice and I'm like, he didn't say that you are a liberal. He said, you know, I used to be on the left. And, like, I guess you can assume that he was saying that you being on the left, I understand how you feel. You can say that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, he never said, you being on the left are XXX. You know, that's not what happened. So I was a little confused about that too. Like he never like outright said, you being a liberal don't know what you're talking about or something like that. So
another thing that kind of gets to me though, because I've noticed this a lot. Like if you see stuff like this or like when Jordan Peterson does his, you know, his stuff like that, a lot of this always happens on college campuses. That's another thing too is most of this stuff happens on college campuses. So it's a lot of young minds. You know, they're trying to find their place in the world. And at the same time, they're getting fed this ideology from the professors, which is what Jordan Peterson had a problem with. Like, these professors are feeding them this ideology and making them think a certain way. But it's like, no, allow them to think freely and not give them this, like, victim mentality.
It was basically, he said to promote critical thinking and not, damn, what was the other one? It was critical thinking versus, I forgot the other term. It was,
we can get back to it.
But basically, it was just, get them to start thinking for themselves instead of giving them ideas to think about.
Yeah. That's
what he was saying. Because that's what these professors are doing. They're giving these students ideas to think about instead of telling the students to come up with ideas and present them.
Yeah.
You know, hey, what do you think about slavery? You know, oh, I think this, and that, or versus like, what would you do in this situation? Now, notice I said, what would you do in the situation? You asked, what's the situation? Come up with one, bitch.
Yeah.
So anyways, guys, don't let people tell you what to think or what to think about. Come up with what to think about instead. Because knowing that everything that you've come to on your own is better than you coming to something that someone's put in your head. And we're going to end on that one and not end the podcast. Just end that topic. We're done with that. Now on to the next.
So, I overheard these people talking, and it kind of made me upset.
They weren't talking about dick. I don't want to hear it.
Douche.
I'm sorry, that kind of throws me off, because the thing that I was going to bring up was that the thing these people were talking about was that they're saying that same-sex couple shouldn't be allowed to adopt kids.
Damn.
The fuck?
Some people feel that if a child is raised in a home of a same-sex couple, it teaches the kid to be gay.
Hold
they
on
will
1 second.
raise this kid to be gay if their parents are same-sex couple.
All right, give me a sec. Let me set my drink.
Which I extremely disagree in.
The thing about that is that I know for a fact this is just a very small minority of people who think this fucking way.
I mean, no, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people that feel this way. I mean,
It's like
I strongly
man,
disagree.
Well, there's a lot of people who can go fuck themselves because, like, there's no fucking logic behind that shit.
Zero.
What proof do you have? What cases do you have that prove that shit?
I think the most important thing is that these kids are grown up, are raised in a loving home.
Yeah.
You know, and then all the trouble that a same-sex couple would have to go through to even adopt a kid, you know that they're going to be in the best care.
Seriously, like, raising a kid, period, is fucking difficult.
Right.
And
That's why I don't have any.
It's like, no, it ends with you. It ends with you. But deadass, though, like, it's just fucking ridiculous. The way I see it is like, yo, deadass, if I'm going to teach this kid the basic morals to be a decent fucking human being in fucking life and teach them how to just, you know, be a good person, contribute to society, I don't give a fuck if it's same sex, different sex. I don't fucking care.
Shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't fucking matter. And at the end of the day,
they're in a good home is the most important thing.
The thing that gets me mad too about a lot of this shit is that, honestly speaking, I don't give a fuck what the hell you do in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
What you do in the bed should not have to do with anything about what the fuck you do in life.
Another person being gay, for one, doesn't affect me. You're not hurting anybody.
Like,
what's the problem?
Like, I don't care.
They're happy. No one else is affected by their life. Why do people feel like they need to make it their business?
Like, it's not. It's not your fucking business. What the fuck anyone does.
What
anyone likes to do, what everyone wants to, you know, finds pleasure in. It don't fucking matter.
They're not hurting anybody. They're not breaking any laws. What's the problem?
It's like, what the fuck? It ain't your
You know
kid.
what I mean?
Shut
These
the fuck
people,
up.
they want to get married. You know, they then want to, you know, they're so much in love with each other. They want to expand their family. They want their love to grow and introduce another life into that. Why take that away from them because it's a same-sex couple? It makes no sense. And then there are people who have kids, and in my opinion, should not have kids. And we're talking about, you know, a man and a woman raising kids who have no business raising kids. And we see this all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
But the thing is, you're getting away from what people are going against. And the thing that people are going against is putting in children's heads. And I'm not saying, I don't want to. The problem with the English, with the American language is the limited words that we have. So I'm going to use those words. Is making it okay to be with the same sex, right?
So the answer to that is to raise kids believing that it's not okay?
Exactly why I said, before saying that part, I said we have a very limited limited language. Not limited vocabulary, a limited language, right?
Okay.
So, there's nothing wrong with being with the same sex. However, to think that you should be with the same sex because your parents are a same-sex couple is not okay. Now, is it okay to be gay? Yes. Is it okay to be lesbian? Yes. Is it okay to be any fucking one of these weird-ass genders that people want to be today? Yes. It's all okay. But it's not okay to be influenced by your parents instead of being influenced by what you actually feel.
And I guess that's what they fear, right? Well, these people having this stupid ideology. That's what they fear.
I would still disagree with that. I'm attracted to women. If I'm being raised by people by same-sex couple, I'm not gonna go, oh well, because my parents are I have two dads, I should be in a relationship with another guy. That would never cross my mind because I do not find men sexually attractive, and I want to stress that because I can look at another guy and be like, this guy, it's a good-looking guy, and not feel sexually attracted to them.
Well, why? Thank you, Cedro. I appreciate that comment.
You're exactly who I was thinking of when I said that. So, like, and to me, it's like if you're trying to, in a sense, shield your kid from it, in a way, it's like teaching them that it's wrong and it's not okay. Now, taking to look at it another point, if you go through a big, this big thing to keep it away from your kids or put the idea in your kids, hey, listen, that's not okay. What happens if your kid grows up and your kid is gay? From their entire life, they've already learned at a young age, you are not okay with same-sex couples.
So they don't know what the fuck to do now.
Your kid is gay. You think they're going to tell you? No. Because there's like, oh, my mom or my dad aren't going to love me anymore because I'm gay. And I know how much they hate gay people. So it shouldn't do it.
Well, what does that have to do with same-sex couples?
I feel like what it is, it's the idea of shielding the children from an ideology that they don't agree with, and they feel like there's this very, very ignorant way of thinking of, oh, if the kid sees that, then they're going to do that. Like a lot of people nowadays still have this feeling of, I don't know, like homosexuality can be like transferred. Like, oh, if I'm in the same room with someone, there you go. That's the word I was thinking for, contagious. Like, if I'm in the same room with someone else is gay, oh, I'm gonna turn gay. Oh, I don't want my son hanging out with that fucking kid because he might end up being gay. No, that's not how it is. That's not how gay works. If you're a gay dude and you're in the locker room with another dude, he's not sucking all them dicks. He most likely, that gay dude's not gonna find anyone in that fucking room attractive.
I mean, one or two,
maybe, but he's not gonna act on it like that because he's a moral fucking human being. Right. Because if he does do that, that's fucking rape. Mm. And I know damn well that he has enough morals and he's like, yeah, I find I got attractive. I'm not gonna fucking just bend him over. Like, no, that's not gonna happen. Mm. And then they have like this stigma to think that fucking shit, which is fucking dumb.
And if the kid sees it and they think it's okay, they're gonna magically become gay because they got the idea now that being gay is okay.
No, but that's not the only thing. See, growing up with same-sex parents could, I'm not saying it will, but it could lead you to believe that, damn, it's just really hard to talk about this.
I see what you're trying to say. I get what you're trying to say. What you're saying is, how they interpret it is that they see it as an option now. That they don't want, because the way that I've heard it a lot, where it's like, there's nothing wrong, it's just, you shouldn't do it. Like, they downplay it, where it's like they don't want to go against it because they don't want to be seen as hateful people or discriminating in some sort of way, but they want to say this is how it should be. They don't really want to have it as an option, and that's kind of where that comes into play when if it's like a same-sex couple, then growing up, my parents are that way, so that's an option for me. I believe that's what you were trying to say, sort of.
And in a way, it's like they're trying to eliminate that option. Because like if I was raised by a same sex couple, two dads, I mean, based on seeing how they treat each other, I do know, like, all right, I might not
the way they treat each other. Get that out.
All right, let's get that out then. All right, so let's just say in general, it's fine for them. I mean, they seem to be, holding up pretty well, and they're the same sex. So going out into the world, if I do see someone that's gay, I now associate with, well, they might, they're the same as my parents. I personally probably won't be gay, but I do know that, if hypothetically, if a situation comes up where I might feel, or just say, I don't know, I'm in my teens, adolescence, where I want to experiment with that, it's okay to experiment with that, and I won't feel ashamed about it. And who knows, that might happen, I might change my mind when I'm later on, whatever. Like, it's the option's there. And I feel like a lot of times these people think this way, and they don't want that type of shit because they don't want that option. Like, no. Like, it's this, and that's it. Oh, but what if no? It's either this, and that's it.
See, and that's why this is a really, really tough subject, because I'm super pro-gay, pro-everything, like all of that stuff, as far as like
pro-expression.
If you want to fuck a guy, fuck a guy. If you're a guy, you want to fuck a guy, fuck a guy. If you're a girl, you want to fuck a girl, fuck a girl. Like, I'm pro that. But as far as like the discussion of whether or not same-sex parents are better or as good as male-female parents, I don't know the answer, but I don't. It's hard to say that they're okay because kids are gonna be attracted to what they're gonna be attracted to without influence. When, if you look at opposite sex parents, you can say the same thing. Like, well, I'm a boy, my dad's a boy, and my mom's a girl, so I'm attracted to a girl because my dad's attracted to a girl. So it really it's kind of the same thing. At the same time, we don't want young boys to feel that, not that it's okay, but that they should be attracted to other boys because their parents are attracted to each other and they both happen to be male.
You know what it is, though? It's another example of people trying to rationalize such, like, very situational, like, things. Like, this is very, very situational. Because it's not everyone. There will be times where, someone might end up becoming, gay because of the parents being gay. There's sometimes that it won't happen, but
that's not okay. That's not okay. It's not okay for you to turn out gay because your parents were gay. It's not okay for you to
no. But I mean, he's not saying in the sense that the kid is gay because the parents is gay.
He just said that. Those were his words.
That's not what he meant. It could be situational. The kid could just happen to be gay. Keep in mind, a same-sex couple is adopting a kid. If that kid is gay, is he gay because he just is gay, or because he learned that that's the right way to do it?
But he didn't go down that path.
But maybe in a sense that's kind of what he...
I mean, I might have stumbled on my words to get it misinterpreted, but pretty much what I was trying to say was, it's so, like sometimes things just happen, and there are situations where it might be influenced in one family, it might not be influenced in another. But since there's there's so many families out there, there's so many situations, like, we can't really, narrow it down to a definitive answer. And I feel like that's what a lot of people try to do. They try to narrow it to a definitive answer, but at the end of the day, honestly speaking, we can't really do that. We can't get a definitive answer. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I'm not, there will be times where a same-sex couple will force feed, and it does happen, where same-sex couples force feed the kid the ideology of,
but I mean, that happens with straight parents.
Exactly,
too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's on the same. It's both ways.
It happens less, though. It happens less because I believe that. Notice I said I believe because I don't know.
It's not a fact. It's just your opinion,
But I believe that, for the most part, in a straight households, you really don't direct your children as far as like who to be attracted to, who to like fall in love with. You kind of just.
But there are people, and I know
no,
this
there are, but they're not the majority.
Who would say to their kids, "You better not turn out gay." I've heard,
but that's not the majority; it's the minority, is what I'm saying. And I don't think it's okay for your kid to turn out gay because of what he saw instead of because of what he felt. And I think that's valid. I believe that's valid.
Like, I understand what he's trying. I understand what he's trying to say.
But
Yeah.
in another sense, that's to say that if I'm straight because I was brought up in a household with straight parents, and that can't because there are gay people who grew up in a household with straight parents.
Like, I feel like they're trying to.
That's fair in most parts. Now, there are those who will like what their parents like. It's just what it is, and I don't think that's okay. Like, if you got two fucking boy parents or two girl parents, and you're a girl and you like girls because your parents like girls and they're both girls, it's not okay. They took the decision away from you, or they maybe instinctively you don't like girls, but you like them because your parents like them. That's not okay. They took that shit away from you. Now, if those two parents are like, man, listen, you like whoever the fuck you like, boy, girl. He, she, whatever the fuck, whatever. Like them. Then that's cool.
I think the best way to kind of, like, I don't know, to kind of, like, help with the situation is if the parents give them that talk. Give them that talk and say, live your life how you want to live your life. Don't live your life how I live my life. Whatever I do is my life. If you want to feel this way, that way, anyway, you make sure that's genuine to you, not because of you feel that you should do it because your parents do it. Because you're not me, I'm not you.
See them act a certain way to certain people. You know, like if, like let's say your parents, they don't like, you know, same-sex couples. And you see them, you know, like in the supermarket, something like, oh, look at that guy or something like that. You see these things growing up, you start to interpret that it's not okay to do that, you know, it's not okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
So there is an influence there, regardless of whether they have the conversation or not.
I guess that's what Adam was trying to bring up. That regardless of how you put it, in some way, shape, or form, there is that little bit of an influence there.
And that's just the way that parents are.
Yeah.
It's just it's more of a parenting thing than a sexuality.
That's what I'm kind of like trying to get at. That it's more of a parent thing. That, you know, at least have that tiny conversation about it.
If the kid is going to be gay, they're going to be gay. It has nothing to do with outside influences. Exactly. If anything, it's just teaching the kids that it's okay. It's not. You don't have to be afraid. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, that's, you know, it's just the way.
Yeah, but how about this? The same way gay kids tend to be afraid to come out to straight parents, a straight kid might be kind of afraid to come out to gay parents. And I mean, we can also attribute that to the fact that most parents, not all, most parents tend to be a bit tyrannical. They want to control the outcome. They want to control the way that their kids turn out.
Now here's an interesting question. Would you say that that's parents from like our time compared to parents now? Because remember, it is like the time does kind of shape things too.
The times are changing, but like...
Yeah, because like, you know, to be fair, we are speaking on this on the perspective of our generation.
No,
and how our
but there are two sides. Because remember, conservatives are one way.
Yeah.
Conservatives are, regardless of the way conservatives try to paint themselves today, they still try to control the way their kids turn out.
Yeah.
Liberals, on the other hand, and when I say liberals, I mean liberals today, not classic. Liberals today, they're going to try to like promote like whatever the hell the kids want to do. And they'll probably go that extra mile and tell kids, it's okay to like the same sex. It's okay to not feel like what you are, which doesn't make any sense, but they would do that. Like, hey, you're a boy? Oh, well, you can feel like a girl if you want. Liberals will do that today. Not classic ones, once again. I don't want to, like, offend classic liberals, but liberals of today will do that. And that's the problem with today.
Mm-hmm.
So there is, like, a problem with parents of today also. You know?
Like a bit of that misguided influence, whether it's intentional or not.
And fuck, we need to like really look up the definition of misguided, because I feel like that's one of those words.
I mean, that's the first word that popped in my head to kind of help me figure out.
But no, because like I get like misguided, like you can guide them in the wrong direction, but like what if that wrong direction is the right direction to someone else?
Yeah. Right?
That's what misguided means, right? Oh, All right, having or showing faulty judgment is what misguided means. But what if that judgment to the next person is the right judgment?
I see. And once again, like I said, it's very situational. It's very situational. And it really just, comes down to the parents. Because at the end of the day, if you really think about it, it's the parents are raising a human being. And one of the jobs as a parent is to teach this little human being how to be, a fucking human being. And teach not just like, teach him the basics of what to do, morals, how to think independently, and be genuine in your judgment. I guess that's a way to say it. But at the same time, not everyone's the same. You're gonna have bad parents. You're gonna have parents that are gonna mold their kid to what they feel
or try,
because a lot of times the kids will rebel,
mm-hmm.
and they do attempt that. And to be fair, a lot of times, most parents do that in some way, shape, or form, even if it has nothing to do with sexuality. So they always try to mold the kid to do something else, even if it's like, oh, you need to become a lawyer or some shit like that.
Asians,
bro. So some shit like that, and it really just comes down to just responsibility.
I feel like you're a good example because you have 3 siblings above you, 3 siblings below you, and you're the only one who came out like you.
Yeah.
The 3 above came out alike, the 3 below came out alike, and you're the only one who came out like Mitchell.
Yeah, that is true. I can say that. That is true. And at the same time, I don't know, it's weird with me, especially with me, because I was raised by a single parent. And in addition to that,
Did you have Frankie?
Yeah, but he came into my life when I was 5, and honestly though, like anything I needed to learn, in terms of being a human being, I've learned. Like once you reach 5 or 6, that's it. Like I've learned most anything.
You did not learn.
That's what I'm thinking to myself.
Anything that can influence me, he couldn't teach me. He can't, like, let's put it this way. He can't discipline me at 5 or 6 at that point, and he wasn't going to. He's the stepdad. How you think that's going to be, being the stepdad trying to discipline your kid? Mind you, with my mom, I'm just saying in the isolation of just my household. I'm not saying in general. I'm saying in my household, he wasn't going to do anything to me. If I needed correcting, my mom was going to do it. He was going to do it.
I mean, in your household, not in mine. I was 8 and my stepdad was...
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. In terms of just my household, that's how it was. And I don't know. At the same time, like, my mom just raised me just to be a free thinker.
Did she?
Yeah. Would you have turned out differently if your mom had a girlfriend?
Ooh.
No, that's a good question. That is a good question.
What am I looking at, bro? Is that a strip club?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can be able to answer that.
I mean, there's no way of absolute.
Yeah, there's no answer. Yeah,
You can't really.
But that is an interesting thought.
I mean, you are who you are, and being raised by a same-sex couple really wouldn't have affected it that much.
I don't know. I feel like in my situation, since I wasn't raised by a couple, period, it allowed me to kind of just,
Bruh.
Yeah.
If you were raised in a bubble with nobody around you, you'd be fucking everything. You'd be fucking boys, girls, everything. Let's be real. And that right there is a testament to who you are. There's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And I'm not saying you'd be like fucking gay. You'd still be Mitchell. But you wouldn't like let's just say, like, if you ever like decided, oh, I'm about to fuck this tranny right here, there would be no thought behind it. No negative thought, excuse me.
Yeah.
You just do it. It just be part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing, because like I said earlier, whatever I choose to do behind closed doors in the bed, it's my fucking business. I will still be Mitchell. And parents need to kind of think, that, man. People in general, really. And that's the thing that's kind of bugged me too about society nowadays, is that we're putting our our sexual business in the forefront now.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
that's in the forefront now more than anything else. Whereas like instead of, you know, Adam being Adam, it's now Adam. Oh, but he's I don't know, pansexual or something. Like I don't care.
Hey,
He's a
come on,
vegan
man. Make a
pansexual.
good. I'm not pan. You better make a good one.
I mean,
I'm a vegan cisgender motherfucking
Squid
asshole.
sexual?
There you go.
he's squid sexual.
Squid sexual. Hashtag.
Hashtag. But yeah, like I feel like a lot of that's really coming in the forefront now. Like I don't need to nor care to know what you do behind closed. Like for example, let's say like in the workplace, you know, if there's someone who's homosexual at work, at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck if you're gay. Just do the job. Like I remember when I used to work at the Halloween store and I was the manager there. You know, I had a couple employees that were gay. At the end of the day, I didn't give a fuck.
Did they put on the girl costumes?
Well, the females obviously put on the girl costume. Well, the males put on like they wore what they wanted to wear. It's a Halloween store.
I'm just saying.
They can dress wherever the
know.
fuck they
No
want.
dress code.
Yeah, no dress code. It's a Halloween store. What I'm trying to say is, like, what I thought was just whatever you are, I don't care. Just do your job. Because the thing is, what you do at home, it shouldn't affect the work. You know, it's business. So it is what it is, you know? It is what it is. And I'm not comfortable with all this, you know, sexual, you know, shit on the forefront. You know, I want to know you as a person, all right? I'll find out about your sexual agendas, you know, later on when we're close and you feel comfortable talking to me about it. I don't want to have that in the forefront. Because a lot of times that ends up happening. It's like, oh, you met this guy, that guy? Yeah, you know he's gay, right? Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
You know, people do that.
Yeah, they do that.
Right.
So it's like you know him
It's like,
you know, Chris, the gay guy. He's not just Chris.
Right.
He's Chris, the gay one. Like,
Well,
no.
I mean, it's like people feel like that's something they have to immediately tell you. Oh, did you meet Chris? He's gay.
I'm like, I don't fucking care.
I mean, listen, Chris shows up to work on time and gets a job done.
Exactly.
That's really the only thing I need to know.
We're gonna have a problem with Chris if Chris don't do his job. If he
I
fucking
just
slack,
need- I
and
just
he
need
calling
Seco
out.
to know that I can't really barely hear him.
You can't barely hear me?
Yeah, man. You're like it's too far from the mic. Anyways, so it really doesn't matter whether or not
Fuck
you're
your
gay
life.
because, like, dude, I had a fucking gay trading partner at one point in time. We used to do kickbox together. We used to do jiu-jitsu together. I didn't even know he was gay until one of the girls told me, and I was like, "For real?" Meanwhile, I'm changing in front of this motherfucker. He never batted an eye.
Yeah.
You know?
You were just two people, you know, training.
Even
That's it.
though I had to throw some breadcrumbs at him, like, hey, man, you go to this place, you go to this place. You know, because I've been to those places.
Mm.
Yeah, man. And then I think that, you know, it doesn't matter. Anyways, the point is, no one knew he was gay. He was just one of us. Being gay, being straight doesn't really make you different. You know, what you like doesn't change anything. That's just what it is. Shit. Now, when I show you his Instagram, then you can tell that he's gay because he's clearly gay there.
That's him.
Clearly gay or openly gay.
A lot of bit of both. Is what it is.
All right, so it is what it is.
It really is what it is. Now, you want to be gay, you want to be straight, you want to be trans, you want to be whatever the fuck you want to be it. Just don't be depressed and then want to be trans and then want to kill yourself because that shit don't make any damn sense. I'm only bringing that up. Why? Because trans people tend to have higher suicide rates than everybody else. So don't do that. Don't kill yourself. It's just not cool. You feeling bad about yourself and the world? Come talk to us. We'll love you.
We welcome you.
You know, we'll take you in.
We welcome everyone.
I'm lifting my arm right now. It's a wing. I'll put you under it. It is what it is. We're going to treat you like a person. That's what it is. You know? If you're trans and you're really hot, you know, one of us might sleep with you. You never know. And I'm not making jokes. You know, we'll be your friend.
It's a little bit of an invitation there.
It's an invitation. You know, come be. We'll be your friend. We take care of you. We'll be a big brother, not sister. All right, Dan.
All right, we got it. Let's cut it. Yeah.
And we're about to cut it here. So, Mitch, Close us out.
Oh, yeah, this was a good one. We are the Vampire Squid Show. Tune in next week. Peace.
We're out.
Don't forget to follow the Vampire Squid Show on Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Once again, hope you enjoyed the show.